Welcome back, Lelanders, to an offline edition of Intellivision Amico content. We're back with fresh Intellivision Amico content. We got some news here from Best Buy that, oh fuck, why is it not there? There it is. The news from Best Buy, the bad news, that they're sorry to let us know that the vendor has asked us to cancel all pre-orders for this product, which fucking sucks balls, not in a good way. So yeah, but it's not all bad news. We're going to cover some more of the things going on in Intellivision Amico news land, like the new video from Pat and Ian discussing the response to Tommy Tallarico, which he made a video to them in 2019, and they've just responded now. So it's kind of interesting that they waited that long, but better late than never, I guess, right? We'll discuss the pros and cons, what I think about that, because if anyone knows me, I'm a fan of both Tommy and Pat and Ian, so I'm hoping that they can put their difficulties behind or grievances and maybe even work together in the future, and for gaming's sake. All right, we'll discuss the Intellivision Amico, what's happening with it, and is that it for my slides? Shouldn't be, but apparently it is. Now, oh yeah, and we got some videos from the YouTube world. What's been happening if you type in Intellivision Amico. Oh yeah, and then what's the other things we're going to discuss? See if we have them here. Holy shit, here's a list of things or what. Let's see if I can drag it all in. Alright, so we're going to discuss the future of the Intellivision Amico controller, how they should actually make it even more cell phone-like and go full N-Gauge. We're going to talk about the Nintendo Dolphin and how the Nintendo console actually had a different name right up until when it released, became the N64, and if maybe Amico should do that. We're going to talk about the Fig Republic thing for Intellivision, how much money they raised. We're going to talk about controllers that are popular with Android boxes right now, and if Intellivision should add one. We're going to talk about retro game consoles being sold from China, and game consoles like that, yeah, we'll just discuss those to some detail. And Intellivision, oh yeah, and we're going to talk about different laws, about what you can and can say about the Amico, and do if people are bugging you about it. And what the law is in Utah, where Intellivision is located. Yeah, business defamation, Intellivision Amico. And I'm not offering any legal advice. This is just a show that's an opinion based, and I'm not an expert, just offering my opinion. Oh yeah, and we'll talk about what's been happening at Intellivision and why it's been so long since their last video. Alright, so first thing I think I'll do is maybe we should bring up some of the chat that we got from viewers or just commenters in general on YouTube. Let's bring this guy in. So this was on a video by Cute and Cosplay, and just to apologize to her channel, I started to actually watch her other videos and realized she is quite a bit of a gamer. I didn't realize it when I first heard her channel name because I thought she was just a cosplay channel. But no, apparently she does lots of video game collecting, so sorry about that misinformation. Figured I'd correct that. So I guess hardcore gamers that are into anime are also into Amico pre-ordering. So anyways, let's make this bigger so we can see it. I don't know if I can actually go to the real comment. I think it's one of those ones that might have been removed from the actual page, but we'll just read it from here. Make it a little bit bigger. See how big we can get. Holy. Wow. That's big. That's what she said. Just kidding. Alright. Dead Wrestlers. So thanks for a huge comment here. This is pretty epic. I think he wants to get a little slapping in. Ow! Alright, so Dead Wrestler says, Lelanders, What was my original response? Can't even remember. Let's go to the 14 replies, or let's just read his response. He says, I guess. I mean, you can't call it an investment based on lies and fabrications that are easily provable, but isn't that a scam legally? If I told you that I'm working on a flying car and get you to invest in it, even though I have no idea how to make a flying car and really have no intentions on sourcing the parts or software of the flying car or whatever, would you not feel scammed by me? So that's some interesting, what would they call it? Not allegories, but whatever it is, associating one thing to another. So let's cover the idea. He's like insinuating like Tommy's Amico is the flying car, and did he have any idea on how to make the console? And did he have any intentions of sourcing the parts or the software? So first, where should we begin? Now, we'll try to cover both issues here. Is this an outright scam, or was there actually good intent and people are misinterpreting it? I am a little bit biased because I don't really like the Amico idea, but I do like Tommy, so a little bit different than the average Amico hater. Alright, so I'm willing to give Amico a chance. So if you invest in it and have no idea how to make a flying car. So I would like to discuss that issue a little bit more. Like, what's his name? John Alvarado. We'll cover him in later on in the video about how he was involved in making the console, as far as I know. They have shown him in videos like holding a controller and trying to get the dice pouring to work. So I'm not sure if John Alvarado was the only technical person on that was claiming they could make this. I am very interested in that too. Was it actually possible for John to finish the console, or had he been hired to do a job that he really wasn't qualified to do? Or maybe it wasn't even his job. It could have just been part of a job that a whole bunch of people are supposed to do, and that whole team wasn't filled. So I'd like to get John on the show and get his takes. I know I've been a little bit critical of John in the past, and he said he'd like to come on to clarify it, so hopefully we can arrange that. That'd be sweet. I have a good faith that there's a good explanation for it all. Okay, so, and you have no real intentions on sourcing the parts. So we know that there's been a series of videos how Intellivision and Amico did source the parts, but then the deal fell through because of the pandemic, and Television even lost their deposit over it. So not only was there sourcing of parts occurring, but there was even a deposit paid and lost to encounter some of the shortfalls and the hinders that Intellivision has incurred. Not that they were fake and not sourcing the parts out. I don't think we've ever heard that actually confirmed. Could be wrong. If anyone has proof of that, let's check it out. Software for the flying car. So here's one of the debates too. We've seen that software so far as games was completed to some degree by German taxpayers. We've seen lots of videos about that. So we can clarify some games were actually being made for the Amico as far as the evidence seems to point. But if you want to go as far as software for the firmware for the console, there was still an ongoing debate if they ever did hire someone to fill the job to finish the firmware. So that is some good points both ways. Would you not feel scammed? Well, I think when it's like a Kickstarter project and it's not really guaranteed, do you feel scammed, or are you kind of prepared? You're like, you know what, this project could bomb. That's why it's not like a for sure thing already. So would I be shocked and feeling scammed? I'd be feeling disappointed, but would I be feeling scammed? Probably not. Unless I was investing in a flying car, yeah, then I would feel scammed. Alright, so we'll read more. If not, you're going to create a PayPal because I have lots of ideas I know won't work. So that's the thing. I think with some projects, you have to show some legitimate amount of either prototypes, if it's certain Kickstarters, or Fig, I guess, doesn't require prototypes. I don't know all the details on that. So yeah, you probably could do all your ideas, depending on which platform. Some you could, some you couldn't. Of ideas I know won't work. So I don't know, that's where you might get into trouble. If you do it in bad faith, maybe then you could get into trouble. And as far as Tommy, I don't think anyone's proven that he has bad faith, that he knew his console would never succeed. That's why he listed or risked his life savings and lost everything, because he knew it wouldn't work. That'd be weird, eh? Well, teach their own. Maybe it's possible. Tommy's like the ultimate glutton for punishment. He knew his whole project would fail, invested everything. I was like, yeah, now I'm in the toilet. That'd be quite the player. No, I think Tommy's not in the toilet now. I'm pretty sure he still lives in a mansion, so I don't think he's really hit rock bottom yet. But as far as investing in Amico, they're getting close to the end of the funds, it seems, for now. Alright, even if I can promise you lots of things going on in the background, I'll even use your investment to make a ton of insane purchases and business decisions that don't make any sense, and pay outrageous salaries to my homies on your behalf, who seem to be just hanging out, if it makes it look not like a scam. So as far as all that, I think there is a lot of criticism that's like seems very valid. But if I had to argue on Tommy's behalf or Tommy's employees, I would say Tommy seems like one of those nice guy bosses. You've ever had a nice guy boss where he raises the salary so high that everyone loses their jobs because the company goes bankrupt? That sort of nice guy. So can you really be surprised if a nice guy kind of tend to run the company into the ground? That's usually why you're like, hey, instead of hiring a nice guy to run the company, let's hire some like really cheap ass fucking prick who can like be a bitch and like holy fucking raise hell to the point where your company actually makes a profit. So yeah, there is the theory that you can hire nice guys and they'll spend like crazy and the company succeeds. This is kind of an experimentation in that. But do I ever think that Tommy did it on purpose? That he had like lavish spending habits because he's related to like some of the richest people in the country? It's like, I don't know. I doubt he would do it on purpose. Yeah, I think that is kind of the theory about if you're raised on the silver spoon. Tommy's had those videos and talked on saying that he used to live under bridges and he had to start from the bottom. And it seems to me that to at least some degree that story is true. But you got to remember that if Tommy did fail, I wouldn't be surprised if he could call his family to be like, hey, could you help me out? I doubt his family would just bail on him. Especially when your uncle, or what is it, his cousin, is like has the record album sales for rock and roll in the United States. Like, hey cousin, could you lend me a little bit of cash? I don't know. Especially if you live in a mansion and you're driving sports cars, it doesn't really seem like your company's starting off at the bottom. And if it's really like a little bit, yeah, spending kind of get out of control, definitely don't disagree. But did Tommy spend out of control on purpose? I think he was just trying to be the nice guy. You know, it happens to nice guys, they finish last. People take advantage of them. Not always, but more often than not, right? All right, let's read more. This is a good article this guy wrote, or response. He makes good points either way, or at least I do reading it. Just saying that there is more than enough evidence to rule these guys scammers and is at least the court of public opinion, but also legally. Yeah, we'll get into more of the legal aspects. Is it already like a legal conclusion that the Amico is a scam? I don't think it is yet. Would I be surprised if it came up as one? Yeah, I'd be shocked. Could it get accused of one and then maybe even get proven one after we find out some weird things that went on? I don't know. You never know, right? Let's hope not. I would honestly call it an injustice for the law to not direct it in that way. I know I have no influence over that and that the law may decide they are not guilty of fraud, but so are many banks that are obviously defrauding investors. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I don't have a lot of faith in the justice system anymore either, but I hope it wasn't a scam. And if I had to guess, it wasn't a scam. Could it end up be proving a scam with like some false evidence? I think that's a possibility too. Let's hope not. But this arbitration shouldn't be your motivating factor in this. Oh, here we get to the personal attacks. Alright, I'll try to go easy. Tommy is a scumbag and his vision was trash. Now, here's the 50-50 split for me. It's like, I don't think Tommy is a scumbag. Is he a little bit mean and annoying to some people? Well, probably, but that's my type of behavior, so I can relate to it. And was his vision trash? It's like, well, I at first didn't agree with the Amico. I think it's a reasonable idea now, but I wouldn't call it a trash idea. And no one really knows if it's a trash idea until after it's on the market and we see how well it sells. Because you never know, right? A product can get the worst press ever, like the Nintendo Switch, and then turn out to be a bestseller when it actually releases. You know how many YouTubers were making fun of the first Switch commercial? Like, who the fuck's gonna buy a portable Nintendo to play rock, paper, scissors, or to play a bunch of Zelda games that I can get on my Wii U? So that's what the press was, and look what happened. Fucking sold like hotcakes, right? So I get it that his vision does seem like trash to a lot of people, especially if you're not into a kid's console. I wanted to see a gamer's console from Intellivision, like the ultimate gamer's console, made by the ultimate gamer, Tommy Tallarico. When he was like, hey, let's make it the ultimate kids console, I was like, oh, fuck. But I'm willing to give it a chance. You never know, kids' consoles usually do sell better, right? Whether he started this off with intentions of being a scumbag is sure debatable. See, even this person here, they agree that it's still debatable if Tommy was trying to scam everyone or he just fucked up. If I had to say, it's a fuck up. And it's not even a fuck up that's complete yet because he might turn it around and still turn it to be a home run. You never know. I have faith in him. But his actions prove that he became one. Well, when you're in a failing company and you're vegan, and who knows with the family crisis, anyone's going to be cranky, right? You read my social media post, how I respond to things, and you can see why I have some sympathy for Tommy. I've said much worse. Yeah, who's a saint on social media anyway? Usually people that just pretend. At least someone who's honest and open and a jackass, you know they're being honest. Not like someone who's nice all the time and you have to wonder what they're really hiding. I don't think Tommy has any darker side. That's all. I don't really think it's a cut and dry as you let's see, wait and see mentality. We did wait. Yeah, well, we waited until nothing has happened yet. We still have to see it for sale to see if it succeeds or not. We did see. We haven't seen it yet. We've seen a delay. Waiting and seeing further is just going to reveal what we already know. Granted that you're right, they have the right to a day in court, yeah, and that's reasonable. Everyone has to believe that the Intellivision Amico is innocent until proven guilty. That's where you get into the legal aspects, right? Where you can't start bad-mouthing the company and saying it's a scam until we actually know that, right? What isn't reasonable is that there will be some new revelation that everything said was true on its face, and it isn't material to the case. Huh, that's interesting. I would love to be proven wrong. Yeah, because that's the thing I think a lot of people agree here, especially people that like Tommy and they like Pat and Ian, is that we're gamers. We all agree that we want to be proven wrong about the Amico not coming out or not selling well. If it comes out and is a hit, it's great for all of gaming. A new console, new player in the field, new possibility for games and development of controllers. But I don't know. Not by the way of legal ease, but the actual facts of the case. Really don't expect that, but we will see, I guess. Yeah, so thanks a million to that viewer or responder to Cute and Cosplay's channel. Make sure to keep subbing to her channel. I think she's already passed mine. Let's check. Yep, she's already passed my channel. So congratulations, Cute and Cosplay. I had a feeling she would pass my channel in no time. Now her channel is really good. Check it out. Now she has actually a lot of cool game collection. I gotta do more videos like hers. Try to show off my game stuff before I sell it all. Alright, so we covered that topic. Let's go on to the next one. So what's new with Intellivision? They haven't really came out with anything as far as videos in quite some time. What are we at, a year now? And the year was funny because I made a video about Intellivision unboxing, posted it to YouTube, and the next day is when Intellivision released their unboxing video. So I was thinking that was a neat coincidence. Hopefully we see some new videos soon. Something from Phil Adams, like a video from like the CEO or whatever, that'd be sweet. I wouldn't be surprised if Tommy's taken over as CEO again. Who knows? Maybe only temporarily step down. If anyone knows, you can put it in the chat. Alright, so as far as the pre-orders go on the Intellivision website, this was what I was wondering, and the viewers probably want to know. If they canceled the pre-orders in Canada, does that mean that all the pre-orders are canceled or just the Best Buy ones? From what I can see here, it's just like Best Buy. The black and white are still sold out. The only ones left, they have the ugly purple and wood grain. Yeah, I don't know who was thinking those look good, but I don't know, I kind of like the purple, but still, if it was up to me, I'd rather get black or white, some sort of neutral color. Because a lot of times if you have like a console on display in your living room, you need it to be a neutral color so it can match out all the other stuff. If you have one console that's like red and another one purple or another one yellow, it just looks all fucked up, right? Sorry if any country's colors are that. So I don't think it's all bad news that the Intellivision pre-orders are all canceled, but I was thinking maybe it's good news. They're like, hey, let's not give out the Canadian orders for now and focus on the US ones. Maybe that's what it is. Being in Canada, I wish they came out in Canada first, but who knows? Maybe they're just focusing on the US, then expanding to Canada. Like, you know, if people reallocate resources and focus on one area, that can be a good sign, right? Sucks for my pre-order, but Alright, so I was just checking out some of the legal things. Like, some people are saying, oh, Pat and Ian and all the other YouTubers have all the right they have to say a bunch of weird stuff about Amico and fuck over all the investors that like invested millions of dollars into the product. So, and I'd also like to just say is for Pat and Ian's show, a lot of the people started commenting that I was saying that Pat and Ian were always negative about the Amico, and I have to admit they were right, and I was wrong. What happened was I started watching the Intellivision Amico debate on Pat and Ian's show already part way through the debate. So I didn't see all the videos where they started talking about it right when they first heard about it. So I have to admit I kind of got that part mixed up. I should have realized I didn't watch every episode in the whole show's history. So when the first episode, like they kind of went back to it and covered it, there was still cautious optimism by both Pat and Ian, where they were saying stuff like they thought the Intellivision was a real company, but their only real complaints were was Ian's complaint. He was saying, what was it again? That he just didn't think there was a market for this console. So that was the only complaint. But he was actually open to the idea of retro reimagined and like the better graphics and some classic titles. I think he even said he liked the box art. I could be wrong. So I was like, all right, so I shouldn't have been so hard on Ian. He actually was somewhat open to the console at the beginning. And then what was Pat's thing? He said that he was open to it too, but he was concerned that Intellivision was a dead brand and that no one gave a shit about Intellivision and that it was a useless license and buying it was like buying trash, so you should just throw it out, that no one even cares about Intellivision. So we'll discuss both of those points. Ian's idea that there's no market and Pat's idea that Intellivision's brand is trash and no one supports it. So, because a lot of times people are saying Pat and Ian are right about what they said about Intellivision. Oh yeah, and then Pat, to clarify too in this video, it's 5 days old, I guess, from when I recorded this. And it got quite a few views, 55,000. So that's a pretty big market share of the video game community that's online, right? It's like 100,000 people. It's just 5 days old, so who knows how many more people watch it. It might reach 100K. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, and Pat was optimistic, but he just didn't think there was any market for Intellivision. And they both said that they thought it was coming out, and they picked days where they would bet what day it would release. So I think at some point all of their opinions changed. Oh yeah, and then Pat was saying that it was never personal at the beginning, but once they started arguing over the price of the console, apparently it started to get personal. And then Pat made it clear a few times that he took it very personal, and then he started to go out of his way to do things, to like argue and fight with Tommy. So I don't know, this is what we're going to get into the legal aspects. I know I don't want to be picking on Pat or Ian. I like both of them, but we have to cover some of the ideas of what's considered like actual reasonable retaliation. If someone you argue with online about a price of a console, how far can you go if you take it personal, right? Right, so here we're going to cover an article about business defamation. So like say you're all of a sudden arguing with the CEO of a company. How far can you take it to make fun of this person's company, right? Like legally, if like someone's like, hey, this guy's like saying a whole bunch of stuff about my company. All right, so is that even big enough to read? All right, so it says here we got an article from Canadian business defamation laws. So we'll see. It says traditionally, a reputation carefully fostered over decades could be lost in minutes through a defamatory comment. The internet accelerates this destruction to mere seconds. So we can see that kind of happening with Tommy Tallarico's career. Arguably, people could say what he said sort of ruined his own career. But then there's other people who could say definitely people accelerated it, right? I know, I'm guilty of it a bit too at the beginning. I was making fun of the Amico pretty hardcore because I still like Tommy, but I was just not a fan of a kid's console. Alright, so you could say some of the examples of business reputations being ruined would be a cosmetic surgery clinic accused of rival of having higher complication rates. So say you had a YouTube video game or a reputation, the video game community, you could accuse one of your rivals of like having a fake company and scamming people. Allegedly, a disgruntled customer sets up a copycat website based on a web address similar to the name of the company. Remember how Pat and Ian, they have a caller that calls in like every week, or at least was calling in a lot, like being a copycat of Tommy and mocking his company's name, like almost every episode. And it features shady visuals and inaccurate information. So yeah, the jokes that they're making about Tommy. And to be fair, I'm all for the freedom of speech. So if it was me, as far as the court would go, I'd say let everyone make fun of anyone. It doesn't matter. It's like freedom of speech. But just going by the law thing here, so we're reading it. An environmental activist that falsely accuses a company of polluting a river. So, like a YouTuber that falsely accuses a company of doing a scam Kickstarter. A corporate press release accuses a rival of stock manipulation. Well, it's kind of funny. Pat and Ian's show, don't they always talk about how video game collecting sites are manipulating the price of video games? Just as an example. A company is accused of not owning the intellectual property rights to the movie it's distributing, and the threat is made to sue any purchasers of the show. Yeah, we did have that with, what is it, Amico, when they had the wrong placeholder graphics in their videos. That was a bit of an issue. A blogger accuses a mining company of salting core samples and making false statements about preliminary results to be rich in minerals. So making false statements about like preliminary exploration. So false statements about, I don't know, how a video game company is going to sell. So you can tell people like, hey, this video game console is going to sell like shit, even though you have no idea. You're just making false statements about preliminary estimates. Like, no one knows how a console will sell until it's actually on the market. We can always guess, hypothetically come up with ideas, but saying that you know a product isn't going to sell or that the company's a scam, isn't that going beyond that? A swift legal response can help to counteract such harm. They confirm the law of defamation protects the reputations of corporations and business people, as well as other individuals. Defamation is the intentional public of a harmful statement. A publication is defamatory if it has the tendency to lower the reputation of someone in the estimation of reasonable persons in the community, like 50,000 to 100,000 viewers on YouTube. Generally, to succeed in a defamation must prove three things. A statement of defamatory is harmful to the trading reputation of the company. So if I was Tommy and I wanted to prove that, how would he? He would just look at his latest Kickstarter and how all the comments that were made in the bottom of it making fun of the company ended up canceling the actual whole campaign. So probably like lost millions, not only to keep the company going, but all the previous investment. They all got fucked by that. An attack on the products, or allegedly, an attack on the products or service of a company is not only defamatory if it attacks the integrity, competence, or reputation of the business. So this is where, remember Ian's comments, how he's always calling Tommy a cosplay CEO, and that he wasn't really competent to do his job. So that's part of the defamatory and of integrity or incompetence. So you're trying to say like the CEO of the company is just like a fake CEO. That's one of the things that Tommy would have to prove, that Ian said that. Not to pick on Ian. I like the guy, and I don't believe in suing anyone. Right? Is it overall an effect of the statement that matters? If something disreputable is said about the company in one part of a statement, but is qualified or corrected in another, the overall effect may not be defamatory. So here's one for Pat's defense. If I was on Pat's team and I was like trying to defend him in this, he could say they were arguing about the price and then he turned out to be right. But that'd be kind of weird too, because at the time the price was wrong, but they had to raise the price later. So that'd be kind of funny. If I had to guess, the judge would probably rule in Pat's favor on that one. So he might get 2 of the 3. So if he only proved 2 of them, Pat and Ian would be okay. Now I hope it would never go to court to begin with, but just hypothetical argument here. We need some fresh Amico news. Does the statement refer to the plaintiff? So here's something about, like, did the person notify them to stop the defamatory statements? And if they just ignore it and keep doing it? So I think that's what Pat and Ian were discussing in their video a lot. They were going on about how, was it, Tommy made this video asking them to stop defaming his company, and that they just ignored it for like until the year 2023, even though he asked them nicely like back in 2019 to stop doing it. So I don't know. That's one of the issues there. Does Pat and Ian have the right to just ignore Tommy's requests? And they talked about it in the show. They're like, yeah, we're just like viewers making content. We don't have to respond to owners of companies. They shouldn't even bother contacting us. That they could say anything they want that's wrong, that Tommy's viewers should just be able to look it up and find out the real information. If I had to argue on that one, I kind of like the idea where Pat and Ian say you could just say whatever you want, freedom of speech. If it is wrong, people should be able to look it up. But legally, they're saying refer to the plaintiff. Was the statement published? Here it talks about where the statements are published. I don't know about how the social media is going with that on court battles, right? Right, so for the defense, truth, so they could say, yeah, Pat and Ian would win the court battle right away because everything they said turned out to be true. Like, who knows? Maybe we will find out that Tommy and Amico and all the people behind it were actually scamming all along. Well, I highly doubt that, but we have to consider the possibility. So yeah, Pat and Ian, they could win and prove it was a scam all along. Defense of fair comment. Yeah, you could just say it as an opinion. If Pat and Ian were like, you know what, we think that the Amico won't sell, but that's just our opinion. Or you could say it's our opinion that the company is a scam and that it's like bankrupt and it's not going to ever release. But you can never say that you know for a fact that it's a scam, right? Or you know for a fact that it'll never release because you don't know that, right? It's definitely seems like a 99% chance, but just from the going information in the public. But who knows what's really going on behind the scenes? All right, defense of qualified privilege. All right, so we won't read it all. Damages. Traditionally, courts have treated individual plaintiffs and business plaintiffs very different in awarding damages. A business plaintiff could generally only recover a normal amount unless it could show the defamation had a direct effect on its business. Like the episodes calling the company a scam, and then their Kickstarter losing tens of millions of dollars, and then all the investors losing all their money because that Kickstarter failed. So you're looking at like close to $50 million in damages. So the effects of its business, harm to its credit, or loss of customers or sales. So that's like some serious shit, right? Like, I get it, you want to make fun of a company, you don't like Tommy because he insulted you or something, but how far does it go to the point where who's the aggressor here? Tommy said some offensive stuff, hurt feelings, but how far can you lash out in response? Like, you couldn't just punch Tommy in the face, could you? You can't really just libel his company either, can you? Just because he hurt your feelings and you started taking it personal? So that's the one side of Tommy's thing on the argument, right? Like, just because, yeah, Pat's right, Ian's right, Tommy said some horrible shit, pissed some people off, but at what point do you lash out and it's going above and beyond what's legal to lash out? Like, you're taking it personal, so how far are you going to take it? Are you taking it to the point of defaming an entire company, causing $50 million in damages, allegedly? Where the defamatory words produce general loss of business, earnings, or the loss of trust in the company's reputation. Yeah. It's like the fucking definition of this Amico battle, right? Conclusion: attacks on reputation, products, or businesses, and rapid response. So they all. Alright. So that's just the breakdown of the Canadian version. But since Intellivision Amico is actually located in Utah, a lot of people are wondering why did they move their office to Utah. This could be one of the reasons. Right, so in Utah, if the defamation thing goes through, like say Tommy won the court battle, and all of a sudden the judge is like, yeah, sorry, Pat and Ian, it's definitely Class B misdemeanor. But what we find out, if you get busted for it and you get the Class D misdemeanor, a person guilty of criminal defamation knowingly communicates to any person orally in writing of information which he knows to be false and wants it to expose any other living person to public hatred, contempt, or ridicule. So I don't know. If you were, say, in Tommy's shoes and you heard all the things that happened on Pat and Ian's show, would you say any of it resulted in public hatred, contempt, or ridicule? Like the constant comments that were so rude it got the latest crowdfunding campaign shut down? All the ridicule and contempt? We'll get into the hatred of it too. It's amazing how many people hate the Amico. Now, we can't say that Pat and Ian are responsible for all of this hatred, contempt, and ridicule, but when you have an audience of like 50,000 to 100,000 people watching your shows, especially the Amico ones, the other videos don't get next to any. Not to make fun of it, they have way more than mine. Man. Alright, criminal defamation is a Class B misdemeanor. Alright, so let's get into what is the punishment Utah for a Class B misdemeanor. If worse came to worse, and the judge was a big Tommy Tallarico fan. He went to all the video games live shows. He's been watching Electric Playground his whole life. Tommy's like a god to him. If that really happened. This is terrible. Now, I don't want this to happen to anyone. I don't want to laugh, make it seem funny, but... Alright. This chat thing's in the way. There we can see it. We'll make it bigger. That's what she said. Alright, so a Class B misdemeanor in Utah. Under Utah's laws, Class B misdemeanors are punishable up to 6 months in prison and a fine of $1,000. Criminal trespassing, assault, petty theft, and cyber harassment are Class B misdemeanors in Utah. So the cyber harassment, that was interesting that that's in there. Eh? I did not expect them to see writing that. So not to make fun of it, but to just show how serious this whole Amico stuff can get. Like, let's hope it doesn't go this far. I definitely don't want to see Pat and Ian go to jail for months because of what making fun at Tommy and his company. Just because they took it personal, right? Like how Pat's like, yeah, I took it personal. So what were you going to do in response, Pat? You've taken it personal now. Are you going to go farther? You're going to try to fuck over a $50 million company as investments? Allegedly. No, I thought Pat and Ian's show and content on the Amico was very entertaining, but you got to wonder legally how far it went. Yeah, so here we got to ask the question. Thanks to all the websites that are providing articles here. is like, how far can you take it if you take something personal, right? Like, say someone makes fun of you or your family. Is it legal to punch someone in the face after they made fun of you? So that happened in like the Oscars or whatever, and they talk about it. The short answer is yes, but the punch has to be made in self-defense. And it says something like, no matter what someone says to you, if you're the person that attacks first, then you're the one that'll get charged. Because you can pretty much make any comment you want, mean stuff. Sure, it may not be protected by the freedom of speech. Yeah, here it is. You can't strike first. That would make you the aggressor. So it's like, say in an argument with the Intellivision Amico about the price, and you're going to take it personal. So even though Tommy's made some sort of arguments and you're talking on the internet, once you start going to the point where, oh, I'm going to take this personal and then start doing things in response. One of the things you're not allowed to do would be for them to punch each other. You could say, no, just because he said things and you've taken it personal, you can't punch him. So that would apply, I think, to the same thing about libeling the company, right? Like, just because you've taken it personal, I don't think it justifies libeling a company. Or why I keep saying libel, defaming a company. So in hockey, that's one of the things that the rules that I would like to see, because I was an old hockey fan. Not a big fan of hockey anymore. It's like figure skating with sticks. They don't even have aggression anymore. But anyways, back when they used to have aggression, a lot of action in hockey, there was an instigator rule. So even though you didn't throw the first punch, if you were like saying mean stuff and instigating the fight, you could still get punished. So if Pat and Ian and Tommy start to go at it legally, if the instigator rule from hockey was there, then Pat and Ian could say, look, he instigated it, charge him too. Get him in the penalty box because of what he said and made it personal. I don't think the hockey rules, like the instigator rule, really applies to arguments on YouTube. Not sure. If anyone knows, they can put it in the chat. Alright, so there's the Intellivision Amico. I was thinking we're going to talk about next, to not make this video too late, try to keep it under an hour, is Pat and Ian's comment. So first we'll talk about Ian's comment. How he doesn't think there's a market for like retro consoles. He's like, oh, Intellivision Amico, just another retro console. Who the hell would buy that? So we'll turn on AliExpress. We'll just like take a look at some of the fucking wicked ass. AliExpress sells like hundreds, if not thousands, of different types of retro consoles. There's like a fucking mammoth market for these things. So if you had some sort of Intellivision Amico that got so popular, you would start seeing clones of it all over the fucking AliExpress. And these things are amazing consoles. I don't know if anyone's played them. Some of them are a little bit rough, but man, the amount of power that they got for the price, you can get some really dirt cheap retro consoles that are able to play all the best games. Atari right up to PlayStation 1. So yeah, even portable designs, Switch designs, home console, Sega Genesis, Game Boy, PSP. Fuck man, retro consoles, just so, not to make fun of Ian's concepts, but I would say this in defense to the idea that retro consoles and markets for new consoles are anything from dead. If anything, it's the primest time ever for one. The market's dying for like a new environment to just cling to. We're like swimming in a sea of different platforms. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to just swim together on one platform, the Amico? Right, now to be fair to the critics of the Amico, we'll cover some of the testing. Because I don't have an Intellivision Amico at my apartment. Wish I did. Wish I was one of the testers and they sent me one. But I'm pretty sure I'm still in the haters folder for some of the people that were most critical of Amico in the beginning. But anyways, I got my girlfriend for her new apartment an Android box, and we're trying out some of the different controllers. So one of the controllers we have is similar to one of these basic ones here, and it's okay. And I also got her this controller here that's almost like an Intellivision Amico controller. Like, it has a screen. It's like a cell phone BlackBerry design with a keyboard. It's got like D-pads on it. It's a fucking nice looking controller. And then we got, a regular remote for turning off and on the TV. Oh yeah, this is the remote we have. So it's very similar to that. Man, that's like the NVIDIA Shield remote, eh? That's a nice one. I should get that one. But what I was thinking is I did the product testing with these and like just imagining, hey, what happens if we were controlling the Amico and this was the Amico's controller? So I was asking my girlfriend, does she find it easy to use? And does it seem like a very user-friendly design? And to be fair, you know what my girlfriend said? She's like, I fucking hate it. I'm like, what's the problem? She's like, the problem is there's too many different remotes, right? You got one remote for the game console, you got one remote for like the TV, and then you got other remotes to like typing on keyboards and stuff. You just got so many different remotes. And she's like, she just wants one remote that controls everything. So I was thinking that would have been a nice feature and design in the Intellivision Amico, is when they designed the controller, instead of making it do as little as possible, try to make it compatible with everything. So it could actually turn on the TV, it could turn itself on. What else could it do? Maybe adjust the volume for the stereo, stuff like that, right? Just so everything in your entire living room revolves around the Amico as being the main controller. It could even control like the Android box if you're watching TV. So that people that want a user-friendly device want one device to control everything. So the very concept of the Amico controller, it's one thing I think the critics are right and they should improve, is don't make it so limited that can only play the Amico stuff. Like, you literally have this fancy-ass controller that control everything. Wouldn't it be nice to control your stereo with that dial? Be like, ooh, this is like my stereo dial, up and down with the volume. Or if you were trying to navigate watching, say, Netflix, you could do it on this phone. You could be like adjusting where the video is playing and pausing. You could even watch it on the phone while your mate is watching a different screen on the TV. So have like a multi-function device. So who knows? People are saying it's too much, but I was going to say, look at this. The Nintendo Dolphin prototype was like a console from Nintendo for the longest time. Everyone's like, oh, I can hardly wait for the Dolphin. And then what happened? It came out and it turned out to be the Nintendo 64. So they changed the name. They changed a lot of what it looked like and what it could do. So I think it's not that unheard of if all of a sudden the Intellivision Amico finally launched and they just changed it. Like, changed the name of it, call it a new console, change a lot of its core features and not being able to do stuff to being able to do everything. And to take that doing everything to the next level, go to the N-gauge level. I know it sounds crazy, you're going to do things wrong. You should go all the way to N-gauge wrong. But just think, the market actually, what Ian was saying, the market, he's saying, doesn't need it. We don't need the Amico. There's no demand for it, no reason to get it. What happens if the Amico became so relevant because it was actually a gaming cell phone? Like right now, I'm kind of in the market for a new cell phone. I can't decide which one I should get. I'm actually just looking for something with a long battery life. So if all of a sudden the Amico controller was an actual, could put the SIM card in it and bring it around as a cell phone, that'd be fucking epic. A gaming cell phone. Now people would say, oh, the N-gauge failed. Why the hell would you take the Amico down that road? Because it's already a dead end. Just look at gaming tablets. They were a dead end road for how long? That's why everyone laughed at the Switch. But what did Nintendo prove? Sometimes there's just a right time and a wrong time. So they waited and waited, no gaming tablet for so many years, and then boom, they came out with the Switch and it was the right time. So maybe right now is the right time for Amico to go balls to the wall, say, hey, we're upgrading the console because it costs more money, it's going to do even more. So instead of like costing like $200-300, let's make it cost a cool $1,000, but it's going to come with a fucking cell phone. The Intellivision Amico cell phone, or keep the name, maybe change it, come up with another new name, distance themselves from the Amico press. They're like, oh, this is what the Amico was, but look at what it is now. The Intellivision 5 or whatever comes with like a fucking docking video game controller. And then I bet you even Ian would be won over. He'd be like, you know what? Maybe there is a market for this now. Because who knows? Maybe Ian was right all along, right? He's saying that there just wasn't enough market for the Intellivision Amico because the market is flooded with retro consoles. He could say that as the argument. So I think, yeah, the market's flooded. We all need one to drain down to. Drain the swamp right to the Amico. No, and to be fair, it's nice that they finally acknowledged Tommy's video, even if it was like how many years later? Is it like 4 years later? I know I'm kind of late on checking my emails. Can you imagine checking them like 4 years later? Like, oh, maybe we should watch this email response video 4 years later. Better late than never. And it was nice to watch Pat and Ian's show again. I hadn't seen it in a while. I'm a little bit concerned for their health. I don't know if anyone, like I haven't watched their show in about a year or so. And it seems like both of them are kind of heavier like me, right? I've been trying to get skinny and failed and put on some pounds. And I was thinking, holy shit, Pat and Ian definitely been packing on the pounds. Not to make fun of them. A lot of people are in the same boats. You get to that age, right, where you're getting a lot of gray hair and it's a lot harder to lose weight. So praying that they get their lives back on track, and maybe Pat will start doing the fasting again. Maybe he'll do a fasting video and I can watch it because I need to lose weight too. I got to lose 40 pounds by spring and it's not looking good. But anyways, yeah, I'm worried for Pat and Ian. Hopefully they haven't put on too much pounds from the stress of the whole debate with Amico. It sounds like it is still personal for them, and I don't advocate lawsuits. If I had to say how I would like to see the debate with Pat, Ian, and Tommy work out, is for Tommy to actually take some of their critical advice, maybe turn the Intellivision controller into something magical. It does more and not less. And yeah, just prove to Ian that, hey, there is a market. Next thing you know, they could be reviewing Amico games on their CU podcast. We'll actually see it release. And have them work together, even though they could still be rivals. Because, you know, in wrestling, WWE, it is kind of nice to have that rivalry going. So, hey, let's maybe keep the rivalry civil between Pat and Ian and Tommy and keep it going so that it doesn't have to become all lovey-dovey. So thanks to all the viewers and everyone. I hope I covered everything I wanted to on this video. Yeah, we'll just get back to the original slide. Is it the Intellivision Amico pre-order from Best Buy has been canceled? So sorry to hear about that. And if anyone was asking what had happened, it has been canceled. So there we go. So thanks again for watching, everyone. Bye for now. Well, we'll wrap up with my offers. We'll go to that quick. Thanks for watching. You help with the offers. It helps you and helps me. You got Patreon. Thanks a lot, everyone, past, present, and future. Make sure to check out Society 6 Finishing Quick, my specialty. T-shirts, bedsheets, both popular with the ladies. Hydro TV pays you to watch videos. Swagbucks to shop. GameKit to try games for Bitcoin as a wallet system for crypto. And don't forget, follow your regional laws, including for the virtual maid sex machine. It's for adults and men only. Take care, everyone. $10 off, 150 or more without LYNBS. LYNBSN. Real coupon code. See you later. Bye. Later.